So now that you have the DAW downloaded and installed on your computer, let's talk about setting up your actual session for your recording. So here's a list of the resources that you're going to need to start your recording. Make sure you have your sheet music, make sure you have all the pages, and make sure they're in order. Probably seems kind of silly, but I will openly admit that I have started recording myself on multiple projects and then found out that I put the third page second, or that I didn't spread it out far enough on the music stand and have had to stop recording right in the middle of a phrase. So make sure you have all the sheet music that you need, make sure it's in order, all the bowings and markings on there that are appropriate. Have your sheet music ready. Have a music stand or at least some way to hold or set up your music. Again, this might seem like trivial advice, but it is important. If you're trying to balance it on a desk, or if you don't have a reasonable way of being able to view the music and operate your laptop or your recording device, that can cause problems. So, having a music stand handy or just a way that you can clip up your music or post it on the wall so that your hands are free to use your instrument and your recording device is really a good thing to have established before you start recording. Have your instrument, and I only list that because you need to have all the appropriate accessories. So if you need a mute, or if you need your bow handy, or if there's something particular that is needed, particularly for like double bass players, if you know you have extended pizzicato sections and you want to be able to put your bow down, make sure that the bow is accessible. So just making sure that you have your instrument and everything you need to be able to record. Headphones or earbuds. And a couple notes about this, it's best to have something that can cover only one ear. If you put headphones over both ears, or if you have earbuds in both of your ears, it can end up causing problems with intonation. You want to be able to hear yourself playing. So try to find something where you can either shift them so one ear is exposed or just have one earbud in. It's also better to avoid anything that is Bluetooth or wireless. Try to have headphones that have a line in that you can actually plug in with an eighth inch cord into your laptop. Lastly, a laptop or electronic device to run the digital audio workstation. You may also want to record on another device and then just take those audio files and put it into the DAW. But I would kind of advise against that. You're just creating additional steps for yourself to export files and import files. And then a microphone. I put this in there, but I realized that this is not something that everyone's going to deal with. So, built in microphones are absolutely permissible. It's perfectly fine to use a built in microphone. You don't have to buy a microphone to be able to record yourself and utilize the DAWs. If you do have an external microphone, like a USB mic, just make sure that you set it up within the DAW before you start recording. Like I said, both GarageBand and Audacity can sometimes be temperamental about what microphones it's listening to and how it's interfacing with it. So just make sure that you've tested out that mic and that you've made sure that the computer recognizes it and that it's plugged in and picking up a signal. If you need any support with that, please feel free to reach out to me, and also just check user manuals and tutorials online. They usually have really good sound advice, step by step process of how to get external microphones plugged into your laptop and engaged with the DAW. But again, it's not required. As long as you have a laptop or a recording device that could operate that DAW, then you're good to go. If you want to use an external microphone for a better sound quality, you're more than welcome to, and I can help you navigate any issues that you might have with that. Before actually recording, I want to make sure that you do a couple things. First, open the DAW and save your recording session with the appropriate name. So every file that you create, there'll be a specific name that we want you to use just so that we can help organize all of the files that we get. Make sure you test your microphone and your headphones. Be sure to test the microphone with your instrument, not just your voice. And I'll be demonstrating that in just a little bit when we go into the DAW and test things out. Don't just do a check one, check two, because your instrument is usually a little louder than your voice. It's a totally different timbre. You may have to adjust the microphone, or at least your proximity to the microphone, especially if it's built into your laptop. You might need to stand up and take a few steps back from it. For cellists, if you're sitting, you might want to push it across the bed or the desk, or move your chair back a little bit. So think about your proximity to the microphone. That can help to avoid clipping or to get a distorted sound. You'll see that the audio that you're doing will go into the red, or those monitoring devices that are built into these DAWs will show a signal that you're not getting a good sound out of the microphone. Don't just test the input. Make sure you record yourself and listen to the playback a couple times. You need to see where the extremes are, sort of loud and soft, high and low within the piece. So if there's a part that starts playing really high, play through that part, record yourself doing it, and make sure that you're happy with the sound. If there's a part that's marked for tcissimo, play through that and get a sense of the threshold of the microphone and what it's going to sound like when you hear it. Make sure you tune to A440. Please make sure you tune before you start recording. Like I mentioned earlier, there are small adjustments that you can make to your intonation, but you don't want to try to fix the whole piece just because the strings went out of whack. Something happens, make sure you're tuning. Don't just do it by ear, use some sort of device. If you've not been to a Tuner Ninja online, this is a free tuner online. It's a visual tuner, so it'll give you immediate feedback and it's really reliable. So that's a free online tuner, or use an electronic tuner that you have at home. You'll need to import your backing track. You can just click and drag it into either DAW, and I'll show you an example of that when we're in the software in just a second. But test the whole system. This goes back to the idea of testing your microphone. Just make sure that you're actually practicing the recording process before you do your first take. Don't try to just jump in and do it all at once. Give yourself time to record a couple things, listen to them, make some adjustments, and get everything set up for your recording session before you go ahead and do the first take. So when you open Audacity, you'll basically just have a blank palette here for you to be able to submit all of your recordings. As I mentioned in the setup video, you want to test your microphone and you want to test your headphones. So you can do that here by clicking here. It says click to start monitoring. So this will monitor the microphone. You can see that the microphone is picking up sound right now. The microphone that I'm using is right here. You see the little microphone icon. It says I'm using the MacBook Pro microphone. If I click the drop down menu, it'll give me some other options of microphones that I want to use. If you've plugged in an external microphone, like a USB mic, it should pop up. If it doesn't, you just need to do some troubleshooting to make sure your computer is actually recognizing that there's an external device that's been plugged in. But here I'm just going to use the built-in microphone in my laptop. If I want to check the monitor that I'm going to get for my headphones, I'll come over here where you see this little icon for the sound, and you can choose if you want to use your computer speakers, your external headphones, or any other devices that you have that are plugged in. Again, headphones are what you want. Since you're recording to a click track, you don't want to record the click track while you're performing. So the headphones are going to allow you to hear the click track, but the microphone's only going to be picking up you playing your instrument. So I know that those are working. I'm going to go back up here and click my microphone just to test it out. And you will see, my apologies for having to shout. I don't necessarily want to hurt your ears, but you'll see as I get to talk really loud, it starts to turn really red. Very easy way to adjust that. You're just going to adjust the gain directly in Audacity. So right here where the microphone icon was, I can just turn this down and it's going to make my microphone just a little less sensitive. If I turn it all the way down, you'll see that it stopped the monitoring because now I've basically muted my microphone. It's not going to pick up anything. As I start to turn it back up, you'll see that the sound comes back. So now I can use the same volume I had before. Check one, two, check one. And I'm getting really loud, but it's not clipping. It's not getting into that red area. If I make the microphone too hot, check one, two, check one, one. So now you can see it's starting to get into that red zone. As I mentioned, don't just do this with your voice. You want to do this with your instrument. So I'm going to grab my instrument and just test it out. Again, I'm just testing my microphone right now. So all in the green, not really a problem. However, I want to consider the extremes of the piece. So I'm going to look at William Grant Still's Serenade. That's the example that I'm using. And I know there are some places in this piece that get pretty high. So this can be a bit challenging because you're probably going to have to read the music and try to look at your computer at the same time to monitor whether or not the microphone is clipping. But let me go to a few sections that I know will get up a little higher and maybe cause some issues with my microphone. So far all green, not any issues. Let me check a different section. So not too bad, right? I've got the microphone set at a place here. I'm not getting any red. I've played something that's really high. I'll try to play some stuff that's loud. So there I'm getting into the yellow and the orange. So that gives me an idea of how loud I can be. So I'm just testing out the microphone. So I've done everything I need to do. I've tested my microphone out, checked some areas of the piece. I know that it's picking up everything that I needed to. I know that I've gotten my headphones working. As mentioned, let me test it out. Let me just record myself a little bit and make sure I'm satisfied with the sound. So I'm just literally going to record anything. Checking my microphone, checking Audacity. Hit the space bar, it stops my recording, and I'm just going to go back to the beginning and listen. I'm going to go to my speaker now. So I'm going to go back my external headphones. So I like the sound. I like the recording. I can look at the WAV file and I can physically see the sound file, and I know that it's not too loud. It's not clipping. I'm just going to show you, for the sake of an example, what it looks like if it is too loud. So I'm going to turn the gain on the microphone way up. If I click this to monitor, you can see that just talking in my normal voice is already getting it into the red. So if I play my instrument, like, it's already way too loud. And if I record this, so do you see how wide the audio file is? And if I try to play it back, it's going to be really distorted. The microphone is way too hot. I've got to turn the gain down. So you want to get your microphone in a place that it's not going to be clipping. Let me check it again. So now I'm in a good place. That's a good place to have my microphone set.